Get hello to me.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
And now we're live streaming on Facebook. So, Tony, if you want to kick us off.
Hold on, not yet. Let me hit the record button.
Great. So good morning, everyone. My name is John Rutenberg, and welcome to 1 Million Cups 2021. So if you can get the 1 Million Cups app on your phone to work, please sign in and register. That's very important for us because 1 Million Cups National reviews our attendance, and every week we submit attendance records to them. And so if you can register, we would so appreciate it. So 1 Million Cups is a national organization with over 160 chapters. The whole purpose of the organization is to promote entrepreneurship. Therefore, we drink coffee on a regular basis, and we meet around the country every Wednesday. So the mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower the barrier of access to education, resources, and connections for entrepreneurs. And again, the power is 160 chapters plus. So presentations, not pitches. We don't really want people getting up and raising money. That's not our purpose. Our presenters come with a challenge, and shortly Alejandro will present his challenge. And our job as listeners is to help our presenter by either asking very specific questions or making suggestions. And among the great aspects is the whole thing is recorded. So Alejandro, you don't even have to listen when they're talking, because later you can listen to the recording. So this is a very important slide, because here you are, you have the responsibility to perhaps say something sharp or perhaps even insulting to a presenter without any intention, because it's not a criticism, but a good suggestion that the person may never have thought about. So we have to remember to always be safe and supportive in our comments. We own 1 Million Cups. Whoever shows up to support, you look around this room with the 23 people in it. We're it. There is nobody else who Alejandro can rely on other than us. I don't even know what, thank you, okay. Everyone has a voice, so please speak up. And what you'll find among the 23 people who are here today, as well as all the folks who regularly come, we're an inclusive, diverse group. Nobody tries to dominate. And really, there's tremendous respect, consideration, and great information exchanged in these meetings. Next slide, please. So there are so many things that you can do to help us grow 1 Million Cups. Certainly join the community if you're not already in the community. Go to our Facebook page, invite your friends, be a presenter, attend every week, and have one-on-ones with other participants so that you can promote your relationship, which is what we're all about. Next slide, please. So most of our organizers are here, not everybody, but Donnell Johns, Jen Dalton, Tony Barnett, Mayosha Mendez, John Yu, Russ McIntosh, Justin Wilson, Renetta Jones, Melinda Sigelen, and me. Every week we meet to plan the next couple of weeks, and each of our presenters has a role. a set of responsibilities. We'd love more volunteer sponsors or organizers. So if that's of interest to you, please let one of us know. In the meantime, kudos to each of our sponsors, our organizers. It's really, really great. Okay, so we have 2 sponsors every month. Office Evolution and Mary Smith this month is our parent coach coffee sponsor. So Sylvia is here, right? Sylvia, would you give us an update on Office Evolution, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Sylvia Ferguson. I'm of Office Evolution Tyson's Corner. So here at Office Evolution, we have affordable office space. We provide private offices, shared workspace, conference rooms, and now during COVID, we make sure that our workspace is sanitized and clean. So we implemented special filters, and throughout the day, I walk through and disinfect everything. So we also provide virtual services such as a professional business address and phone services. So if you're an entrepreneur and you would like to start or you would like to know more, please reach out to me, and I put my information in the chat. So I would love to give you a tour or just chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvia. And Mary?
Make sure I'm unmuted. Hello, everybody. Enjoy the coffee. I am a parent coach, and to be honest, I'm trying to hone my elevator speech to address 2 niches, and I'm not even sure if you can have 2 niches. But I just Googled how long an elevator speech is supposed to be, and I think mine's a minute, not 30 seconds. So every week I'm going to practice it, and by the end of January, I'll have it. So my overall mission is to sort of play a role in reducing teenage and young adult anxiety and depression, which is epidemic, by helping parents to be part of the solution. So I want to raise their awareness of what mental health really means, and then work with parents to teach them how to nurture their children's mental health, using child development psychology and neuroscience. It's all research backed. But teach them how to nurture their child's mental health, which both addresses any behavioral issues that they have, but also has them build sort of a strong foundation of resiliency and self-awareness and a bunch of lifelong skills that will help them weather, life, which is not easy. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Mary and Sylvia, both for presenting and for being our sponsors. And for those, I think almost everyone who's been here, in the day when we were together, we actually had coffee provided by the sponsor. Now, just raise your cup, and if you would like to be a sponsor, we'd love to have you. Okay, so how do our virtual meetings work? Well, when you have a good MC, it works a lot better. But today, please keep your microphones on mute. You can use any of the icons, like the hand wave icon in the chat section. When we do the Q&A, if you'll just raise your hand, and Mayosha Mendez will be our moderator today, she will be able to call on you. And then do please keep your phones, as you are, on mute throughout our program. Next up, great. Well, it's with great pleasure and excitement that I introduce Alejandro Jimenez and his company, Everest Master. So Alejandro, you're on. Thank you so much for coming today. It takes a lot of courage to stand up in front of any group and present and then have to listen to our feedback. So thank you, sir.
Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to be presenting today. Yeah, and I'm ready to start and let you know more about Everest Master. Okay, so the challenge question in the case of Everest Master, after presenting in several 1MillionCups locations around the United States, is the following. What industries should we target? because we need to define a target market since our company have multiple use cases. I mean, our platform have multiple use cases, and we are struggling to find which market is willing to adopt it quickly. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is Everest Master? Everest Master is a platform as a service where we develop engaging virtual experiences. Next slide, please. Okay, our company is a download program. Is not VR yet, like with headsets. You only need like your desktop computer. We are currently pre-revenue. Still, yeah, we have developed an MVP, and we also hope to have events coming soon where you can join us inside the platform. Next slide, please. The problem we are trying to solve is the following. Everything started when I was studying online back in 2019, and I didn't have the experience I had, because when you're in person, you meet people there, you speak with your professors, you have that social experience. But when you're online, it's not the same. Sometimes you're not able to meet classmates or your professors or ask questions right away. Even if you are using Zoom, in some cases you don't have that much freedom to speak with whoever is sitting next to you, to put it that way. You have to wait until someone who is finished speaking. So the whole experience is not satisfactory. I think many social needs are unsatisfied. And in third place, you have this lack of academic environment. You always see your education, you relate it with an environment and with a place, with a building, and the same with the events. You say, okay, the event is going to be in this place, in this venue, and you relate it to it and you're excited. And that doesn't happen online. Next slide, please. The following solution came to my mind: developing a massive virtual world where everyone can learn, meet, and belong to a community. This can be achieved with avatars, virtual environments, and can be used for many use cases, including events and education. Next slide, please. I want to let you know why now is the right moment. I think there is a huge market opportunity during the following 10 years. The industry is growing a lot. There are few competitors that target all the market. It's very specific at this point. And also COVID-19 have been a great example of the difficulties that humankind can go through. And I think in the future, we will have more difficulties, maybe not as COVID, but different, like maybe like increase in population that make it difficult for you to travel or to go to certain place. So I think remote solutions like this platform are here to stay for the long term. Next slide, please. As I was mentioning, our platform have multiple use cases. It can be used for education, for networking, trade shows, presentation, commercial, entertainment. You mentioned it. Every time I speak with someone, a new ideas comes up, and that is exciting, but at the same time, it's very challenging because we are able to do so many stuff that we don't know where to start or which market to target. Next slide, please. In order to do a market validation, we have analyzed a couple of companies. One of those is ScienceSpace, the other Virbela. They focus more in the business side, and of course, they try to expand to other markets as well. Some of the featured clients are Pearson, Stanford University, Berkeley, Department of Defense, etc. Next slide, please. The market size, as I was mentioning in the opportunity, right now is huge. And as you can see, for virtual events, it is worth at this moment over $78 billion, and it's going to grow by 2030 a lot. You can see here the number 774 billion. It's the same number many times over. The same for virtual education, it's going to grow a lot. So if we're optimistic and we think we are able to acquire around 1% of the available market during the following 10 years, the company can be valued in $1 billion. Next slide, please. Our business model is the following. We provide a public space that is always free, and it works as our demo. People can use it for free for any event they like, up to 14 users at the same time. We also provide the service of venue design. You send us a design or an example of a building you like, and we can design it in the virtual space in 3D, and we just created for you. We have done this already, actually. In third place is our most important product, that is the live venue, the same venue that we have designed for you. We can keep it live, so your people from your company, students or users that want to know about your business or want to interact and want to meet or accomplish any specific purpose, they can come to your live venue, virtual venue, and you pay us monthly, like a membership, and then you have it running all the time. And in third place are the virtual events. You can also organize events with us. We design the virtual venue, and then you can use it. Next slide, please. Our marketing strategy is the following. I think running these virtual events will help us a lot with the marketing, because people will share the platform and will become aware of it. And since the events involve many people. In second place, partnerships are key for us, because certain strategic partners, like say Microsoft, for example, could help us to unlock the door to access to certain clients that are already working with them. And that it will be a huge opportunity. But first, we have to grow. And in third place, we have direct and digital marketing. I think this is in the long term. Direct marketing is what we are doing now, but digital marketing would be in the future when we have revenue to spend on this expense. Next slide, please. Our competition is the following. We are the company best positioned for success when it comes to virtual events environment. As you can see, our competitors are there, but they are not events oriented, or they don't provide a high engagement for the user. We care a lot about the user experience. So that's why I think we can be much better than our competition. Next slide, please. Our competitive advantage is the following. We are going to be the first virtual world for education and online events. It's something that doesn't exist. Our competition provides something similar, but they don't get to the level that they can connect all the events with each other at the same time, or you can travel from one place to another and meet people from different businesses inside the same platform. It's going to be easy to use, it's user-driven, optimized for communication, the experiences are engaging, and the best thing of all is that there is a world of endless possibilities of what can you do with our platform. Next slide, please. This is our team at the moment. You know myself already, Alejandro Jimenez. I co-founded a company back in 2017, digital marketing company. I have also 6 years of experience as web developer, project manager, and CEO of the previous company. Then you have my wife, Nashira Kuba, who also happens to be the COO of Everest Master. We have Arsiom, our technical manager, Chime, our 3D Unity developer, and Goran, our 3D artist. Next slide, please. Okay. Yeah, that was the challenge question. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we get back to the challenge questions again. We really appreciate if you can help us thinking or brainstorming about which target markets we could target, or at least narrow it. And maybe if you have any insights about the right strategy to get to them, will be really helpful. Yeah, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I think, I don't know if I have time to show you the platform really quick. Do I have time? Let me see if I can.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I think I can't share my screen. Yeah. Could you enable me to share the screen, please?
Donnell, that's up to you.
You know, Darnell may have not be available at the moment.
What do you want me to do?
There we go.
You want me to allow him to share a screen?
Yes, please.
He wants to do a demo.
You got 30 seconds to do a demo, sir.
Sounds good.
Hold on 1 second.
All right, thank you. So as you can see, I'm inside the platform. It's better to show it to you directly because it's a very visual product. Here is a classroom we have created where you can either sit in here and it becomes a first person experience and you can look at the presenter or the professor that is sharing something on the screen. This is at this moment connected to the browser, to Google. So it's great because we can get any tool from the internet this way. And also, yeah, let me see. Yeah, I'm having some bugs right now. Okay, so basically, as you can see, you will have your avatar. You can also share your webcam here, use your microphone and speak with people. And this was the first stage. I would like to show you with more time the rest of it, but I will share a link to the video, to our demo video, so you can get a better understanding of what it is. Yeah, that's it.
That is very cool.
That was amazing. So everybody, a round of applause for Alejandro. And so I've been reminded that Russ McIntosh will be our moderator today. And I'm going to turn it over to Russ right now. And then you're invited to ask lots of questions.
Thanks,
So
John.
Russ.
Great presentation, Alejandro. This amazing subject. I've ventured into a couple of virtual events myself, and I like the engagement that you guys are undertaking and doing so much more. So we're ready to start doing some Q&As with Alejandro. If you have a question, please raise your hand in the participants section and click on the blue icon. If you want, you can also send me a private message through the chat and I'll put you on the list as well. So to start us off, who has a question for Alejandro? Melinda.
Alejandro, excellent presentation. Really liked seeing how it's so virtual and really engaging. My question is, have you looked at associations? I wrote down a quick list, which I'm just going to read, which I thought of: associations, not-profits, colleges for reunions, the Greek system. They have both locally and nationally have opportunities with their annual meetings, funerals, weddings, wedding planners, meeting planners, and groups like that, where you could hit folks that are doing events and giving them a really creative way and an engaging way to go after them.
Yeah, I think the way I think of it is the best target market is a group of people that need to use this platform in a regular basis. Because let's say, for example, they work remotely and they meet there, or they need this place where they do events every week. That could be the best thing because it involves certain challenges for the user in a certain way. Like you have to download a program, then you have to subscribe, then you have to use it. So it makes more sense if for a person to go through this process that take like a couple of minutes if you're going to use the platform in a regular basis. But for a one-time thing, I think it doesn't work that much.
So sales managers, for an example, who have sales meetings with their sales force and have been doing things by phone because their sales force is scattered all over the United States, or other groups like that.
Yeah, that could be a use case.
Okay.
Great. Next up, Rosemarie has a question.
Alejandro, great presentation. Thanks for the demo. That really crystallized a lot of the questions that I had in my mind. So to directly answer your challenge question, because you're breaking new ground here, I would recommend, instead of thinking about what industries you should target, you should go at this as what users would you target. This looks very much like a platform that people who are comfortable with gaming would be comfortable just jumping on and running with. You may take the Slack approach, where they literally had a sidebar for their game. And when their game went kaput, they took the sidebar and made a multi-billion-dollar product out of it by going after the same people who were gamers, but in their profession. So for example, if you can find people who are doing agile planning together, this is a perfect platform for a deeper engagement for the stand-ups, because Zoom is okay, but if people have questions, and these are people already familiar with the technology of 3D visualization in their non-working lives, right? So I feel because you're changing behavior, you should find a behavior that exists and using your product, pull it into the business marketplace, as opposed to going after an industry. You can find, and then it makes it easier to find people like that. So you can launch a LinkedIn ad and ask for agile program leaders who want to try a new engagement platform. And then that will help you bring in people because you're solving that problem for them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great advice, Rosemary. We got a couple more people lined up. Deb, then Dan, then Marnie. So Deb, it's your turn.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Alejandro, for your presentation. So when I looked at your demo, that looks like an MBA classroom at a university. So I'm assuming that's kind of where you're going with that. So my question, or I think what you need to maybe balance, is that most universities have their own systems already. They use Blackboard, they use Blackboard Ultra, they use Cornerstone, they use some other system that is very multifunctional in terms of posting syllabi and content and giving exams, etc. So your platform is more about the presentation. And frankly, I think universities and any education system right now is struggling to have something that is interactive, and that is, I mean, that's why people are struggling right now with this online education. And I've taught online, so I understand that from the professor's perspective as well as from the student perspective. So my question is, how are you going to separate your product from the foundation that universities are currently using, or any school system, in terms of what you offer, which is unique compared to the fundamentals that they need, which is exchanging information, testing, etc.?
Yes, that's a good question. I think our vision as a company always is creating an integration more than separating everything. We want to be friendly with other solutions. We don't want to do the same they do. We want to be unique, but complementary, not the opposite in that sense. So our program, for example, since it allows you to connect to the browser, you can access to the content management system the university is using, like Blackboard or Canvas, for example, and you can get inside your account and be on the syllables at the same time you are there on the virtual environment. So that integrates well. And I think that by establishing a partnership and thinking, okay, this is what they use, we can adapt our platform to it. And it's really important for us to be very flexible in that sense. So yeah, I think it will go that way.
That's a great approach. I will tell you, however, that most platforms that I've ever used at a university are so cumbersome and have so many problems that if you try to integrate, you're going to need to answer that question. So how is it seamless? How is it that you are not falling prey to some of these other things? I can't tell you how many times I had classes that I had to reschedule or cancel because the technology didn't work correctly. Could have been user error, but I think it was technology. So how do you, I think you're going to need to answer that question to show people that it's seamless.
Yeah, I think, to be truly honest, technology is not perfect. You can see it on any big company. You can see it on Facebook, you can see it on YouTube, you can even see it in Zoom. And as someone that is the CEO of a technology company, you have to be aware of that and take as many precautions as possible. But it's the nature of the business, as you can notice. Otherwise, if you will not hear those issues happening with the technology, right? So I think that is part of the process. As you improve as a company, you take care of it, you improve your system, but it's something gradual. And even when you are big, like Facebook, sometimes crashes. Yes, so it happens, and you have to do your best.
Great. Next, we have Dan coming up.
Alejandro, thank you for the presentation. Great information. I'll follow up on what Rosemary said, in that you want to find the users, and then therefore with the caveat that therefore the industries that want to use the technology. When you think of how Zoom became so big so fast, it was because that was the only thing, or it was had to, and it was easy to use. I mean, and following on what Deb said, Zoom is easy to use, right? And so a lot of people will just use, Zoom for its basic capabilities, kind of like PowerPoint and Microsoft Word, tremendously capable tools, but we all use just a small percentage of what the capability is. So I would focus on the people who would appreciate the technology and use it and build your base from there, right? Because I think the bulk of the population will just use the basics for the tool. They're happy with Zoom until they become more sophisticated and bored, which we probably all are, and then to go something else. But I definitely agree with Rosemary on going to the users that will appreciate your technology and going from there, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right. We have Marnie has a question for you next.
So yeah, and I think that's a right way to phrase it. I think it's more of a question than an answer. To go along, I mean, I'm definitely aligning with what Deb and Rosemary said, and in terms of like know your user. I mean, starting with someone like me being able to use this doesn't make a lot of sense, but I do have a daughter in college who would give anything to feel like she's more of a community, more part of a community. So in that sense, I love it, but I totally understand where Deb's coming from, where the technology is already not fantastic and not consistent. And so integrating that makes me really nervous. And also the security components that they already have to go through. So I guess my question is what other areas is that age group consistently involved in outside of school, where feeling part of a community would be really valuable? And unfortunately, I don't have a great answer, but that to me, again, aligning with what everyone else has said of starting with the people who are going to be able to use your product quickly and thoroughly, and to the best use of it, and then figuring out what that use is, because the university use sounds great, but I feel like that's going to come with a lot of complications.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I have a question back. So let me put this way, so you can understand better the way I'm thinking. I'm thinking this way. So we are a startup and we want to grow. So by targeting or thinking about the end user is great, but that it will be like reverse engineering from there to see who is serving this user, correct? So if after that we say, all right, who is willing to pay for this now? And they see a value on it. So the platform is not like, the value of this platform isn't in the social part per se, the video and the audio. It's in the opportunity of finding something of value inside the platform to help you accomplish an activity, let's say. Like, for example, taking a class or doing an agile session for discussing the week planning, that kind of stuff. So that is okay. And then we have the third question. What is our competition doing? Which type of client they have? And I wonder why they are not having this type of clients. They don't have any, I don't have much agile. They don't have gamers using this platform. And they have more like companies that want to make the process quickly. Like, for example, HR, like instead of training in person, you train virtually and that kind of stuff. So I think there is a lot of complexity when it comes to determine where could this be best placed. And I honestly don't want it to become like a social media, virtual social media thing, because for me, it will be deteriorating the value, because users will want too much freedom, and we want to keep an environment that is friendly, it's a standard, the universities feel attracted to, and they feel the business feel they have a control over it. No, the control is on the user per se. Yeah. So yeah, I think of it, that's why I'm here, I guess, to figure things out.
All right, great, Alejandro. We've got a couple more people that have questions for you. Tony, James, and Jen. So Tony, it's your turn.
Alejandro, yes, again, great presentation. I've been a supporter ever since you first applied, and I saw your website and said, yes, this is something workable. My concern is from a technical standpoint. The past year, most people have upgraded their computers to be able to handle lots of video and lots of video activity and meetings like this, plus also upgrading their internet so that they can get the bandwidth to be able to get stuff like this. What are the some of the minimum requirements that you have for the system? Because you have people who might be joining in from a coffee shop and doesn't have the best bandwidth, or they may be in a house that 6 other people are also using, doing meetings at the same time when this is going on. Because one of the biggest things that could be a hindrance to you is the fact that if the quality of the video processor, quality of the system is not high enough or is smooth enough, you might get people frustrated, especially if you get an event that has 200 to, as you said in the slide, 2,000 people.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. I honestly think the easy answer is if you are able to use Zoom, you're able to use our platform because it doesn't have much computer requirements. We have to consider that since the beginning because we want as many people as possible to be able to use it, right? Still, we are working to handle the technical side, the server, all of that. We are working with third-party companies. It's not like we can handle our own servers or we have our expert networking employees. So we work with these third-party companies. One of those is Microsoft, for example, for the user data. We don't manage the user data. Microsoft manage that. So we work with companies that are solid and they have proved it, so they have a great reputation. So we make sure they are the ones who take care of all the sensitive part for us. Once we grow, we can invest on creating our own solution for that. That will give us more independence. But at this point, I think it's well to handle it with these third-party companies to keep everything running smoothly.
Next up, we have James, then Jen, then John.
Hey, Alejandro. Love the presentation. I've actually went through your demo video 2 or 3 times as people have been talking. So, but I want to focus on your question, like industries we need to target. And the one thing that I'm not 100% clear about is the gap, right? The gap that you guys are filling. It's easy to kind of get locked in and be seduced by technology, right? And it looks really cool, right? But what I've typically found is that getting a high degree of clarity on the gap that you're filling that isn't clearly being filled, often is actually going to give you some clarity on where the best target market is. And I am personally not 100% sure about what that looks like. It's a cool product for sure. But when you start looking at large events, I mean, I personally, I'm on a coaching program where every 8 weeks we have 600 people on a 3-day event. Like, so is that a target market? Like, is that right? Yes. So if you guys ran like a strategy map on this to kind of clearly identify your kind of red ocean, blue ocean, the gap you're going to fill, how you're differentiating yourself from everybody else, because I think once you've been through that process, you're going to get a greater deal of clarity on what target market you might want to go after. And that's just a little bit unclear for me right now. That's all. But it's a very, very cool product. I mean, so.
Thank you. Yeah, that is unclear for me too. That's I think one of the things we have to do, put more thought into it, because the issue is the following: you have to know everything has a context, and the context explains the current present of the situation. Our context is that we were targeting higher education, in specific for like most of the half of the life of the company that is barely 6 months. Right? So we were 4 months or 3 months targeting higher education, speaking with many professors, universities, students, etc., running surveys. And at the end, we say, okay, they need this, but they are not willing to pay for it now. They are willing to maybe adopt it in 1 year, 2 years. It's going to be really slow. So that left us in the air, not knowing what to do with this product that we were creating specifically for education. So we say, okay, which one is the quickest market? Maybe it's virtual events. So that's why we are in the for virtual events team. But I would definitely spend a good time thinking about it more deeply and do the marketing analysis to see where our weakness, our competition, where they're strong, and see which blue oceans are there for us, like the gaps you mentioned. I think the issue I don't know, from my point of view, the issue with the gaps is that you don't know a gap because they are not using it. So it's unless you get in contact with them, how do you know they need it if they are not appearing in your competition portfolio per se?
So typically anything online, right? Anything that's online, I'm going to say probably the biggest gap is always going to be around probably engagement, right? That's the biggest thing, right? I mean, it's easy to get engaged when it's live. It's harder to do it when it's online.
Mm-hmm.
So, if engagement is a gap, then how are you guys filling that through this particular product? There are a multitude of massive live events that happen on a weekly basis, right? Because we're no longer going to auditoriums. We're no longer going to spend 3 days in a massive conference, right? You think of the Tony Robbins of the world and these guys, right? They're all still putting on massive events, right? Does this allow them to create more engagement with their audience and make it a more fun event? I don't know. But to me, those are the questions I think you need to start asking yourself. And if you do that, I think your first target market will begin to reveal itself.
Okay.
That's very
but right
cool.
now you've got all of these markets that you think can all use the product at various levels, without really being able to kind of hone in on one in particular. That's just me.
All right, great advice, James. I've got several people lined up, so if you can try to keep the responses to just a few minutes. We have Jen, John, Melinda, then Deb. So Jen.
Thanks, Russ. Alejandro, great presentation. An example of an event that I think would be fantastic, whose attendees are also forward thinking, would be South by Southwest. So a physical event where people are used to going around a city to find, or at least a few blocks to go to different speaking events, to go to different company sponsored events that are private, that you have to have a ticket to get into. And that's where Twitter was discovered, right? They tested Twitter during a South by Southwest program. So I would recommend looking for conferences that have business sponsors, that have speakers, that have a bigger footprint where they can move around, and where the attendees are already excited about trying something new, because that's the purpose of the event. So that might be an interesting one to do some test case scenarios with.
Okay, sounds good.
And next we have John.
Hey, Alejandro, again, thank you so much. I think I'm just going to be repetitive of several people who recently commented about the whole notion of trade shows. And I think you need to do the gap analysis right on that. So the American Society of Association Executives, ASAE, is comprised of trade association executives who would be the right people to survey about the needs and whether there's a gap or no gap, because maybe I'm not in that world, so maybe there are 5 vendors already providing. But if you look at the electronics and computer industry that every year in January has a convention in Las Vegas with thousands of people going, I don't know, they're clearly not doing it. So with what are they replacing the in-person? And I see your product being perfect for that. So I would try to, I would introduce myself to the American Society of Association Executives, ASAE. They're in DC. And see whether you can partner with them to provide this. Maybe they get a little kickback, referral, whatever, but motivate them to be involved with you. This could be a winner. And thank you so much.
All right, thanks to you. For sure, we'll contact them.
All right. Melinda, Deb, and then Dan. Melinda.
Everybody is finally thinking what I'm thinking, which I had said, the event marketing industry and the trade show industry. You can go to all the conventions and visitor bureaus and see what big events were once upon a time supposed to have an event and they can't do something live. Same with the big events like the car shows. The automotive industry is a really great industry to go after, and I had a lot of luck with it when I was working with an event marketing company, because you can go after their agencies that are now looking for new places where people can see these new cars, and they sell tickets to the car event in each city, so they could continue to sell tickets. You could have a way to put somebody in a car and have them test drive a car virtually. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this, with the event industry, and I could talk to you more about it offline if you're interested. That's fine.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Deb, you have the next question.
Sure. Not a question, really, just a comment. Before you sort of give up on the academic side of things altogether, I would encourage you to think about going into individual university departments and to even individual university professors, because although big technology buys like Blackboard, et cetera, are at the university level, oftentimes individual schools and individual departments have their own budgets. Sometimes faculty have their own budgets for things like travel. Obviously, people aren't doing travel right now. So if people have money in their budget for research or what have you, they can even use it for teaching. So think about a potential individual model or a smaller scale model where you don't have to go through all of the same levels of university approval to get something. And I've seen it happen quite a bit. And so that might be an avenue for you.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. I actually, that is what I was trying for those 4 months.
Okay.
And some professors, well, a professor started using the platform for his class, but it's still too small for us to make any profit for it. And so we provide for free. So I think it's hard, you know how hard it is with higher education. So that's why we are so willing to work with higher education, but at the same time, we are waiting. So they can know more about us and get more familiar with us in the future.
So on that point, as a follow-up, John just gave a great description of ASAE, which is the Association for Associations. You might look at associations within certain disciplines. So I'm familiar with business because I taught in a business school. There's a group called the Academy of Management. The Academy of Management has, 15,000 members worldwide. And these are people who are professors of business, of management. There are other groups that would have concentrations of professors in other professions, so psychology, et cetera. So you might think about going a partnership with a group that gets you access to more than individuals, but it's still on an individual basis in a way.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Dan Leonard, it's your turn.
Alejandro, I'm getting more enthusiastic for you by the minute here. I used to work in IT and I worked for Oracle, and we would have 15,000 people at a Vegas casino, and we were on some platform. Now, I don't know that those companies are going to do things like that anymore, but they want to make the experience better. There's the prospect of being on a Zoom for 3 days or parts of 3 days doesn't sound very appealing. So the companies are all trying to make it better. And I think John was talking about referring to the Consumer Electronics Show, which is a huge event every year. And it's the latest, greatest technology from many industries. And so that's highly retail centric. And it's highly IT and vendor centric as well. And I'm sure you have your IP and your patents all locked down, because I can see a lot of big companies looking to get your idea and get your technology. So bunch of ideas there, but I think you're onto something great.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to do the best we can, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I've seen several music groups get together and try to put on a certain event and like raise money for a nonprofit. So you have an aspect that it's the virtual performance going on, but then you can also go out into another area and it has information on the nonprofit that's trying to raise money for, and then there's like an engaging area. I can see lots of aspects for this for your application. I think it's a great aspect. Let's see. Does anybody else have any other questions for Alejandro? All right. One other thing I was wondering was for your target market. Do you actually have a specific area in line? Are you going for only education? Are you going for the entertainment industry? Are you going after the business, or are those all three just I'm going after everybody?
Yeah, the only thing that is solid at this moment is education. Education is something we don't want to stop the focus on, but at the same time, since it's not giving us profit, we are open to everything else in that sense. Yeah, so the answer is no, we don't have anything specific per se.
Yeah. Well, I remember I used to take these art classes. In the back of magazines back in the day, there was these draw me. There was like a teddy bear, pirate, and several different ones, and you had to draw them and you sent them in. And if you got approved, accepted, you got into this art instruction school. Well, I got accepted to the school, but I didn't have an in-person physical somebody there to teach me. I would do my drawing and then I'll send it out, and a couple weeks later I'll come back with tissue paper on it with red marks on it. I'm like, well, how did you do the red mark? Did you lightly gesture it? Was it a hard, like, I didn't see how they made that red mark. And I think the virtual aspect of your thing would definitely help out in that education experience of me trying to learn how to draw.
Yeah, definitely. Like the professor in this case can share his screen, right, or his webcam, and he's pointing the webcam to the paper, and you're in an art class. Then you can see how he's doing. It will require some adjustments on his end, of course, but it's completely possible. And I think there is a lot of things, to be honest, that can be done. I just can't wait for the company to grow, to see how many uses, how useful it can be. Like, the only reason that I believe in this company because it is useful. Otherwise, I wouldn't be on it. So I think it has a lot of potential in that sense.
Great. Well, Donnell has our last question for you. Donnell?
So I'm going to step in. We may have lost Donnell in the.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Okay. Hey, Donnell.
I just couldn't find my mute button. Alejandro, this is a great piece of software, and I can't wait to see the masses use it. But that's not my question. My question to you today is, what can our 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Yeah, well, I think you have been already doing it. Like, all your feedback is really useful. You can also get in touch with me later, or you can follow us on LinkedIn for updates as well. Yeah, so that will be about it. And if you want to host any small event, let's say 14 people, you can do it for free at this point. Maybe you know someone that wants to organize events, then you can do introductions. Anything helps. But what I mostly appreciate is all the feedback I have received from you today.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. So Tony, if will you be so kind to flip to the next slide, and next week, Triple Nickel, a veteran-owned apparel company, will be our presenter. So please join us again. And Alejandro, you know, one thing I've learned is when presenters become active participants in our community, relationships are formed and more actions occur. So we welcome you to join us every Wednesday when you can. Our presenter schedule over the next couple of weeks is shown now. Mark Masters' comedy is on the 20th following Triple Nickel. And then I saw Chanel earlier in our listing. Limbs and Things will be on the 27th. We do have an opening on February 3rd. If one of you would like to present, we encourage all presenters to come forward, and we'd love to have you. Next slide, please. So this is something Russ McIntosh usually does for us. So I don't know if these are everyone's events, or Russ, you have any you want to add to this group? You're on mute.
No, it's all pretty self-explanatory. We had the Reston Chamber of Commerce Coffee and Contracting. It's a nice, successful task group that the chamber's putting on. The Fairfax County EDA is having a COVID detection SenseWare event. And then the Fairfax business leaders are having a business discussion with Chap Peterson on Friday. The Entrepreneurship 101, that's being hosted by the Fairfax EDA as well, starts next January 12th. What is that? Wednesday. And then Wednesday, the Reston Chamber of Commerce is putting on Lights, Camera, Action, Are You Ready? And then George Mason University is having an economic outlook on next Wednesday, the 13th.
Excellent. Excellent. So I don't remember, is there a next slide, Tony, or is this our last slide of the night? The thank you slide. Well, everyone, Alejandro, I hope you found some great nuggets of guidance and people who challenge your basic assumptions that can only make us all better. And as I said, we welcome you to be part of us. And I see that Rosemarie has put an item in the chat relating to one of her seminars on Gravitate. So please save your chats and connect on a one-on-one basis with others in our community to build our relationships. So I want to thank everybody. We're just about at 6:58 for those of us on the left.